The massive holographic screen flickered in Times Square, casting an eerie blue glow over the thousands of gathered humans. Their faces turned upward, breath held, as President Thomas Adams approached the podium at the United Nations. The year was 2157, and humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. The alien transmission had arrived 3 days ago. The Stellar Empire, as they called themselves, had demanded Earth's complete surrender. Their message was simple: submit or be destroyed. They had already taken control of Mars colonies and the mining operations on Jupiter's moons. President Adams adjusted his collar, his weathered face showing the strain of sleepless nights. Behind him stood the combined military leaders of Earth's United Defense Force. The camera zoomed in on his stern expression as he gripped the edges of the podium. For 2 years, he began, his voice steady and clear, we have tried to negotiate with the Stellar Empire. We offered peace, trade, and cooperation. In return, they took our outer colonies. They killed our people. They threatened our home. The crowd in Times Square grew silent. Similar scenes played out in every major city across the globe: London, Tokyo, Mumbai, Rio de Janeiro. Humanity stood united, watching and waiting. Today, Adams continued, I received their final ultimatum. They expect us to kneel before them, to hand over our resources, our technology, our very freedom. He paused, his blue eyes hardening. They believe we will choose surrender over war. They believe humans are weak. A low murmur spread through the crowds. In orbital stations above Earth, astronauts and military personnel clustered around screens. Even the underground bunkers in Australia and North America fell silent. The Stellar Empire has gravely misunderstood humanity, Adams declared, his voice rising. We are not weak. We did not climb from the depths of our oceans, survive ice ages, build civilizations, and reach for the stars just to surrender to the first beings who threatened us. He straightened his shoulders, and for a moment, he seemed to embody the entire human race, defiant, determined, unbreakable. To the Stellar Empire, I say this: you have mistaken our patience for weakness. Our desire for peace as fear. You have pushed us too far. The president's next words would be remembered for generations to come. They would be carved into monuments, taught in schools, and whispered as a prayer by soldiers in the darkness of space. No more talk, he said, each word like thunder. Let the war begin. Across Earth, cheers erupted. In Times Square, people embraced strangers, their faces showing not fear but determination. Humanity had faced extinction-level events before, natural disasters, plagues, climate crisis, and had survived. This would be no different. In orbital defense stations, commanders began implementing war protocols. Ships that had been hidden in underground hangars and underwater bases emerged, their crews ready. The United Defense Force, created in secret over the past 2 years, activated its global network. As the president's speech ended, screens worldwide displayed a simple message: Operation Phoenix activated. All military personnel report to designated stations. This is not a drill. The war that would determine humanity's fate had begun. And unknown to the Stellar Empire, humans had been preparing for this moment. They were about to learn why challenging Earth had been their greatest mistake. The first attack came at dawn. Admiral James Wilson stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, Earth's newest flagship, hidden in the shadow of Saturn's rings. Around him, crew members worked in focused silence, their fingers dancing across holographic controls. The massive view screen showed hundreds of Stellar Empire ships approaching Mars, their sleek purple hulls gleaming in the sunlight. They're exactly where we predicted, Lieutenant Reed reported, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Their fleet formation suggests they're expecting no resistance. Wilson allowed himself a small smile. For 2 years, humanity had fed the Stellar Empire carefully crafted intelligence, making Earth appear defenseless. The truth was far different. All ships report ready, Admiral, Commander Porter announced from his station. The hidden fleet of Earth's ships numbered 300, each vessel equipped with technology the aliens didn't know humans possessed. Wilson took a deep breath. Send the signal. Operation Phoenix begins now. Across the solar system, human ships emerged from their hiding places. They rose from the red sands of Mars, where they had been buried beneath abandoned colonies. They appeared from Jupiter's storm clouds, where special shields had kept them hidden. They slipped out of asteroid belt bases and from behind Saturn's many moons. The Stellar Empire fleet didn't notice them at first. Their arrogance had made them careless. By the time their sensors detected the human ships, it was too late. All ships, execute Pattern Delta, Wilson commanded. Remember your training. Remember Earth. The human fleet moved with precision that would have been impossible 2 years ago. But they had trained for this moment, running countless simulations, preparing for this exact scenario. The first shots came from the UES Defiant. Plasma torpedoes, enhanced with technology reverse-engineered from a crashed alien scout ship, struck the enemy's flagship. The alien vessel's shields flickered and failed, something that should have been impossible according to their intelligence. Direct hit. Reed called out, her voice steady despite the excitement. Enemy flagship's defensive systems are down. Chaos erupted among the Stellar Empire fleet. Their neat formation broke apart as human ships attacked from all sides. They had expected to find Earth's solar system defended by a handful of outdated ships. Instead, they faced a force that matched their own in both numbers and technology. Second wave, engage, Wilson ordered. More human ships appeared, launching from bases hidden on Pluto and its moon Charon. The alien fleet found itself caught in a massive pincer movement. On the tactical display, red dots representing enemy ships began to vanish. The Stellar Empire's commanders tried to rally their forces, but Earth's attack had been too well planned, too perfectly executed. "Sir," Porter called out, "we're receiving transmissions from the enemy fleet. They're requesting to surrender." Wilson's expression hardened. Remind them of their own words, no quarter given, no mercy shown. Those were their terms when they took our Mars colonies. The battle continued for another 3 hours. When it ended, the mighty Stellar Empire fleet was in ruins. Of their 300 ships, barely 50 managed to escape. The rest were either destroyed or captured, their crews taken prisoner. Wilson walked through the Defiance corridors afterward, visiting the wounded, congratulating his crew. In the medical bay, he stopped by a young ensign's bed. "We really did it, sir," the ensign said, grinning despite his injuries. "We showed them what humans can do." "This was just the beginning," Wilson replied. "They'll be back, and in greater numbers. But now they know. Now they understand what they're facing." As if to confirm his words, reports began coming in from across the solar system. The alien garrisons on Mars were surrendering. The mining colonies on Jupiter's moons had been liberated. Humanity had won its first major victory. In his quarters that night, Wilson recorded in his log, "Today we proved what President Adams said. Humanity is not weak. We are not afraid. And we will never surrender." The war had only begun, but its first battle had shown the galaxy one undeniable truth: underestimating humans was a fatal mistake. News of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On the Stellar Empire's capital world, High Commander Dax faced the Imperial Council, his scaled skin pale with fury and shame. "Impossible," one council member shouted, slamming a clawed hand on the marble table. "How could primitive humans defeat our greatest fleet?" Dax displayed the battle recordings, showing Earth's ships emerging from hiding places throughout their solar system. "They deceived us," he hissed. "While pretending to negotiate, they prepared for war. They studied our technology, improved upon it, and waited for the perfect moment to strike. In the council chamber's shadows, Intelligence Director Mira watched silently. She had warned them about underestimating humans. She had studied Earth's history, seen how humans thrived on challenges, how they turned disadvantages into strengths. No one had listened. "We must retaliate immediately," another council member demanded. "Send the Imperial Armada. All of it." "No," Mira spoke for the first time, stepping into the light. "That's exactly what they expect. Humans excel at turning superior forces against themselves. We've already lost one fleet to their tricks." Meanwhile, on Earth, the United Defense Force headquarters buzzed with activity. General Robert Hayes studied reports from across the solar system. The Stellar Empire was withdrawing from Jupiter's moons, abandoning their positions rather than risk capture. But intelligence suggested they were gathering an even larger force. "They're adapting to our tactics," Hayes told his staff, pointing to holographic maps. "The element of surprise is gone. We need new strategies." In orbit above Earth, scientists and engineers worked frantically in massive space stations. Dr. Anna Taylor led the research team studying captured alien technology. Each discovery brought new possibilities, new weapons, new defenses. "Look at this," she told her colleagues, displaying a hologram of an alien power core. "Their energy matrix is based on crystal harmonics. But if we modify the frequency..." She typed rapidly, and the hologram changed. "We can disrupt their shields without damaging our own systems." The war effort transformed human society. Former rivals became allies, pooling resources and knowledge. Underground factories produced new ships and weapons. Every captured piece of alien technology was studied, improved, and replicated. President Adams met with his cabinet in the White House bunker. The room was silent as they watched real-time updates from the front lines. Small skirmishes erupted throughout the solar system as both sides tested each other's defenses. "The Stellar Empire is wounded," Defense Secretary Miller reported. "But wounded predators are the most dangerous. Our spies report they're mobilizing everything they have." Adams nodded grimly. "Then we'll be ready. Humanity didn't start this war, but we'll finish it." He turned to the assembled leaders. "Activate Phase 2. Across Earth, hidden launch facilities opened. New ships, built in secret even before the war began, rose into the sky. Unlike the first wave of human vessels, these were entirely of human design, incorporating lessons learned from studying alien technology but pushing far beyond it. In orbit, Dr. Taylor watched the launches from her laboratory window. "Beautiful, aren't they?" she said to her assistant. "The aliens thought we'd copy their technology. Instead, we're creating something entirely new." The new ships gathered in high orbit, their hulls gleaming with a strange, shifting material that seemed to absorb light. Each vessel carried weapons that existed only in theory months ago. They represented humanity's greatest achievement, the ability to take an enemy's strength and transform it into something uniquely human. As the fleet assembled, Admiral Wilson transmitted a message from the UES Defiant: "All ships, prepare for deep space deployment. The defensive phase of this war is over. Operation Phoenix enters Phase 2. Across the galaxy, the Stellar Empire's leaders still debated their response to the initial defeat. They had no idea that humans were already moving to strike at the heart of their empire. They were about to learn another painful lesson: humans don't wait for their enemies to come to them. Operation Phoenix Phase 2 began with a whisper, not a roar. The human fleet, led by Admiral Wilson's flagship, slipped through space using their new stealth technology. The ship's light-absorbing hulls made them nearly invisible against the backdrop of stars. Their mission: strike the Stellar Empire's primary shipyards orbiting their colony world of Proxima Beta. Multiple enemy signatures detected, Lieutenant Reed reported from her station on the UES Defiant. They've doubled their defensive fleet since our last intel update. Wilson studied the tactical display. 200 enemy ships guarded the massive shipyards where the Empire built their most powerful vessels. Construction crews worked on dozens of new warships, preparing for what they thought would be their inevitable conquest of Earth. They're still using standard patrol patterns, Commander Porter observed. They haven't adapted to our stealth capabilities. Wilson activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, initiate attack pattern Omega. Remember, our primary target is their construction facilities. The defense fleet is secondary. The human ships moved into position, surrounding the shipyards in a three-dimensional web. On the Defiance Bridge, Wilson waited for the perfect moment. The enemy's patrol ships were just beginning their shift rotation, creating a brief gap in their coverage. Now, Wilson commanded. Human ships decloaked simultaneously, appearing like ghosts in the night. Before the alien defenders could react, the first wave of Dr. Taylor's new weapons struck the shipyards. Quantum disruption beams, designed specifically to target the crystal-based technology of the Stellar Empire, tore through their shields like paper. The enemy responded with surprising speed, but their tactics were predictable. They moved to protect the partially constructed warships, exactly as human strategists had anticipated. Second wave, engage, Wilson ordered. Deploy the drones. Thousands of small, automated drones launched from the human ships. Unlike traditional weapons, these were guided by advanced AI systems developed by combining human and alien technology. They darted between enemy vessels, targeting specific weak points identified through months of studying captured ships. On the enemy command station, alarms blared as their defensive grid collapsed. Human forces had achieved what the Empire had thought impossible, total tactical surprise deep within their territory. "Sir," Reed called out, "we're detecting power surges in the shipyard's reactor cores. They're trying to scuttle their own facilities." Wilson smiled grimly. "Just as we predicted. Lieutenant, transmit Phase 3 authorization." Hidden among the construction crews in the shipyards, human agents who had infiltrated months ago sprang into action. They had posed as maintenance workers, slowly gaining access to critical systems. Now, they activated specially designed computer viruses, taking control of the shipyard's power grid. The battle in space intensified. Enemy ships fought desperately, but they were caught between the hammer of the human fleet and the anvil of their own compromised facilities. Escape pods launched from the shipyards as workers abandoned their posts. "Enemy fleet is breaking formation," Porter reported. "They're attempting to retreat." "Let them go," Wilson ordered. "They'll spread the word. Let the Empire know that nowhere is safe from human reach." The operation lasted less than 3 hours. When it ended, the largest shipbuilding facility in the Stellar Empire lay in ruins. Dozens of partially completed warships were either destroyed or captured. The defensive fleet was scattered, its survivors fleeing to deliver news of another devastating defeat. On the Defiance Bridge, Wilson recorded a message to be broadcast on all frequencies: "To the leaders of the Stellar Empire, you thought the war for Earth would be easy. You thought humans would be simple to conquer. Now we bring the war to you. Every world, every station, every ship in your empire is now a target. Surrender, or face the consequences of your choice." As the human fleet prepared to return home, their ships loaded with captured technology and intelligence data, Wilson received a priority transmission from Earth. President Adams appeared on his private screen, looking pleased but concerned. "Excellent work, Admiral," Adams said. "But our spies report the Empire is mobilizing everything for one massive strike. They're calling it the Annihilation Fleet. They mean to end this war with a single blow." Wilson's expression hardened. "Let them come, Mr. President. Thanks to this raid, we now have everything we need to give them a proper welcome." Deep within the Stellar Empire's territory, Intelligence Director Mira walked through the massive hangar housing the Annihilation Fleet. 500 warships, each larger and more powerful than anything the Empire had ever built. The air hummed with energy as workers rushed to complete final preparations. But something troubled her. The humans had been too quiet since their raid on the shipyards. Her instincts, honed over decades of intelligence work, screamed that they were missing something crucial. Magnificent, isn't it? High Commander Dax appeared beside her, his scaled face twisted in a cruel smile. Each ship carries enough firepower to level a continent. Earth will burn. Mira nodded politely, but her mind raced. She had studied Earth's history extensively. Humans were at their most dangerous when they appeared to be doing nothing. And if they have another surprise waiting, she asked carefully. Impossible, Dax dismissed her concern. Our spies report they're frantically building defensive positions around their planet. They know they can't stop us. Meanwhile, in a secret facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Taylor stood before President Adams and Earth's military leadership. Behind her, a massive hologram displayed her team's greatest achievement. We call it Project Prometheus, she explained, manipulating the display to show a complex network of quantum devices. By studying the Empire's crystal technology, we discovered something they never realized. Their entire technological base depends on a specific quantum frequency. General Hayes leaned forward. And we can disrupt it? Taylor smiled. Better. We can shut it down completely. Every ship, every weapon, every piece of their technology will simply stop. But the window of opportunity will be brief, perhaps 30 minutes before their systems adapt. Will it affect our own ships? Admiral Wilson asked from a video feed. His fleet was hidden near Neptune, waiting for the enemy's approach. No, Taylor replied. We designed our hybrid technology specifically to operate on different principles. When Prometheus activates, only their systems will be affected. Adams studied the technical specifications. How sure are you that this will work? We've tested it on all captured Empire technology, Taylor answered. The results were consistent. But... She hesitated. We'll only get one chance. Once they understand what we've done, they'll modify their systems to prevent it from happening again. In orbit above Earth, the United Defense Forces' remaining ships took positions around the planet. They were outnumbered 5-1 by the approaching Annihilation Fleet, but that was part of the plan. The Empire needed to believe Earth was desperate, throwing everything into a final defensive stand. Underground bunkers across the planet hummed with activity as Project Prometheus was brought online. Massive quantum transmitters, disguised as communications arrays, were ready to broadcast the shutdown signal across the entire solar system. Back in Empire space, the Annihilation Fleet began its final preparations. High Commander Dax addressed his forces from the bridge of his super dreadnought, the Imperial Vengeance. The humans have proven troublesome, he announced to his assembled captains. But they are still primitives who got lucky. Our Annihilation Fleet will crush their pathetic defenses and remind the galaxy why the Stellar Empire has ruled for 10,000 years. But in her private quarters, Mira accessed classified files from the Empire's oldest archives. She found something that chilled her blood, records of other species who had shown similar creativity and adaptability to humans. Species that had seemingly been on the verge of defeat, only to emerge victorious through unexpected means. She immediately drafted a warning to the High Command, but hesitated before sending it. The Empire's leadership had ignored her concerns before. Perhaps it was time to consider alternatives to blind loyalty. As the Annihilation Fleet prepared to jump to Earth's solar system, Mira made a decision that would change the course of the war. She began encrypting files, everything she knew about the Empire's weaknesses, contingency plans, and secret installations. Soon, human intelligence operators would receive an unexpected message from deep within enemy territory. The final battle was about to begin, but not everyone was certain which side would emerge victorious. The Annihilation Fleet emerged from hyperspace in waves, their massive ships darkening the space between Mars and Earth. On every human vessel, crews watched in stunned silence as enemy ships kept appearing, hundreds of them, then more, filling the tactical displays with red dots. 512 enemy vessels confirmed, Lieutenant Reed reported from the UES Defiant, her voice steady despite the overwhelming odds. Their energy signatures are off the charts. Admiral Wilson stood on his bridge, watching the massive Imperial Vengeance take position at the center of the enemy formation. The enemy flagship was enormous, nearly the size of a small moon. Its hull bristled with weapon emplacements that could reduce planets to ash. All ships maintain defensive positions, Wilson ordered. Remember your training. Remember the plan. On Earth, in the underground command center, President Adams received an urgent message. A transmission had arrived through secret channels, originating from deep within enemy territory. The sender identified herself as Intelligence Director Mira. Mr. President, Dr. Taylor burst into the room, her eyes wide. The intelligence is genuine. She's given us everything, shield frequencies, command codes, emergency protocols. This could change everything. Adams studied the data. Can we verify this in time? We already have, Taylor replied. The codes match what we discovered in our research. But sir, there's more. The Empire's Annihilation Fleet has a fatal flaw. Their massive power systems all operate on the same quantum frequency, exactly what Project Prometheus was designed to disrupt. In space, High Commander Dax stood proudly on his bridge. Look at their pathetic defenses, he sneered to his officers. Barely 100 ships against our mighty fleet. Begin the attack sequence. The Annihilation Fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Their first volley of energy weapons lit up space, powerful enough to overwhelm any known defense. But the human ships didn't try to block the attack. Instead, they scattered in what appeared to be panic. They run like cowards. Dax laughed. All ships advance. Show no mercy. But on the Defiant, Wilson smiled. They're committed to their attack vector. All ships signal ready status. Across the solar system, hidden quantum transmitters powered up. In her laboratory, Dr. Taylor initiated the final sequence for Project Prometheus. Energy levels optimal, she reported. Ready on your command, Mr. President. Adams took a deep breath. Everything hinged on this moment. To all forces, he broadcast, Operation Phoenix final phase begins now. Activate Project Prometheus. The quantum pulse was invisible but reached every corner of the solar system instantly. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, across the Annihilation Fleet, ships began to drift. Their lights flickered and died. Weapon systems went dark. Communication arrays fell silent. What's happening? Dax roared as his mighty flagship systems shut down one by one. Restore power immediately. But his crew could do nothing. Every piece of Empire technology had been rendered useless by the quantum pulse. Even their backup systems failed to respond. The entire Annihilation Fleet had become a collection of powerless metal hulls drifting in space. All ships, attack pattern Delta, Wilson commanded. The human fleet emerged from their scattered positions, their hybrid technology unaffected by Project Prometheus. They closed in on the helpless enemy vessels like wolves surrounding prey. Attention Stellar Empire forces, Wilson broadcast on all frequencies. Your ships are disabled. Your weapons are useless. You have 15 minutes to surrender before we open fire. Choose wisely. On the Imperial Vengeance's bridge, Dax received another shock. His personal command codes were being overridden. On every screen in his ship, a message appeared, classified files showing the Empire's history of defeats, its hidden weaknesses, and its lies to its own people. The transmission was signed by Intelligence Director Mira. As escape pods began launching from Empire ships and surrender signals flooded human communication channels, Wilson allowed himself a small smile. The mighty Annihilation fleet had been defeated not by superior numbers or firepower, but by human ingenuity and the conscience of a single alien who chose truth over blind loyalty. 1 month after the Battle of Earth, President Adams stood before the United Nations once again. This time, he wasn't alone. Beside him stood Intelligence Director Mira, now the acting representative of the reformed Stellar Federation, what remained of the Empire after its surrender. The Great Hall was packed with delegates from every nation, while billions watched worldwide. Through the windows, captured Empire ships floated in orbit, their hulls now bearing Earth's colors alongside their original markings, a symbol of cooperation rather than conquest. Today marks a new chapter in human history, Adams began. Not just for Earth, but for all spacefaring civilizations. The war is over, but our work is just beginning. In the front row, Admiral Wilson and Dr. Taylor sat together, both wearing new medals for their roles in humanity's victory. The Admiral's fleet had spent the past month accepting surrenders from Empire worlds and installations across the galaxy. Dr. Taylor's team was already working with alien scientists to develop new technologies that would benefit all species. The Stellar Empire rose to power through fear and domination. Mira addressed the assembly, her scaled features showing emotion that would have been hidden months ago. But humans showed us a different path. They fought not for conquest, but for freedom. Not just for themselves, but for all who were oppressed under Empire rule. Reports from across former Empire space told the same story. Dozens of alien civilizations, inspired by Earth's victory, had thrown off their chains. The Empire's rigid hierarchy had crumbled, replaced by a growing federation of free worlds. But our greatest victory, Adams continued, wasn't won through weapons or technology. It was won through understanding. Through seeing past our differences to recognize that all sentient beings share the same fundamental desires, freedom, justice, and the right to determine their own destiny. In orbit, the UES Defiant prepared for its next mission. Commander Porter, recently promoted after the final battle, studied the star charts showing unexplored regions of the galaxy. Human ships would go there not as conquerors, but as explorers and peacekeepers. The questions we face now are not about war, Adams said, but about peace. How do we build a galactic community that respects all cultures while protecting the rights of every species? How do we ensure that power is never again concentrated in the hands of those who would abuse it? Mira stepped forward. The former Empire worlds have much to answer for. We have much to repair. But with Earth's help, we are creating something new. The Stellar Federation will be founded on principles of mutual respect, shared knowledge, and collective defense against any future threats to galactic peace. In secret facilities around the world, Project Prometheus was being dismantled. Humanity had proven they could win a war, but now they chose to prove they could win the peace. The quantum disruption technology would be sealed away, a deterrent against future aggression but never to be used as a first strike weapon. To all watching, on Earth and across the stars, Adams concluded, I say this, the war began because one civilization believed they could dominate all others. It ended because humanity proved that true strength lies not in conquest, but in cooperation. Not in fear, but in understanding. Not in power over others, but in standing together against tyranny. The assembly hall erupted in applause. On thousands of worlds, beings of all species watched and listened. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had been the catalyst. Later that evening, Adams stood in the White House garden, looking up at the stars. General Hayes joined him, carrying reports from the ongoing reconstruction efforts. Quite a view, isn't it? Hayes said, following the president's gaze. Hard to believe just 2 years ago we thought we were alone out there. Adams smiled. We've come so far, but this is just the beginning. There are still threats out there, mysteries to solve, worlds to explore. But this time, we go forward not alone, but as part of something greater. Above them, a shooting star streaked across the sky, not a natural meteor, but a ship heading out to the stars. Humanity had fought for their place in the galaxy. Now they would help build a future where no one would need to fight such a war again.